Hello, I'm Guillaume Cabane, VP of Growth at Drift, and people call me G. Today, I want to cover some principles, some growth principles. I'm often asked, G, how do you come up with those ideas? What's the driving principle? How do you know that this is going to work? The short answer is I don't know. However, I do have some principles. I do have some things that are driving. I think the core driving thing is I want to give a better experience to my users, and the better experience will help them convert. People convert more when their experience is better. That's simple to understand. However, how do you know that you're giving them a better experience? And the problem that I often find when I talk with companies is that if this is the number of leads you get, and this is your ACV, your average customer value, many companies believe that they have really a clear persona. All their target market is there. They've got a specific number of leads they need, and they all have the same ACV, right? All leads in a time distribution. You know what? That's very unusual. In truth, I almost never see that. What I usually see is this, a banana shape. You have some leads with very low quality, very low ACV, and some leads much less leads with a very high ACV. So you've got a wide distribution of lead quality, right? And that calls for a mixed answer, right? It calls for having differentiated approach for each of those gradients. If you look bottom here at those gradients, well, the people who have a very low sales velocity, you're probably not going to want to touch them at all. The people who have medium sales velocity, you want to do some light touch, so increase a bit the cost. And the people who have a bit higher velocity, you can engage with the humans, send some gifts or whatever. One of the problems we've been facing in marketing these past years is that to solve, let's say, the problem of the cost being above the sales velocity, when the cost is above the sales velocity, means you're losing money. It means that the yield is negative, you're spending more, right? And so what we've all done, especially growth marketers, is to do automation in a way to minimize the costs and bring the costs like here, right? And the problem by doing that is that we've created awful experiences, right? Because the easiest way to minimize the cost is to remove the humans entirely and send the same message to everyone. Whatever the expectation, whatever their willingness to pay is, whatever the budget is. That's awful. That's completely awful, you know? And when you think about it, it's just as if you were entering a car dealership, you know, with the intent to buy a car, with the money to buy a car. You drive in with a nice car, and they give you the exact same pitch, whatever, who you are, what you're driving in, and what your intent is. And of course, no car dealership does that because that just wouldn't make sense. However, in our world of web marketers, growth marketers, we all do that, right? To drive the cost down. And so my point is, let's not do that. Let's actually create a better experience to increase the conversion, to raise the sales velocity above the cost, right? So we can do a bit of that. And when we talk about distributed mixed answer, and if we recall one of the past videos on how I say you gotta use the bot in conjunction with the chat to capture the company domain, the email, if you don't have the IP address to do it, you know, if you don't have the automatic detection. Well, this is a good example of a mixed answer, right? If you have a high number of leads with a low ACV, you're going to want to use the bot, right? Because that's one way to lower the cost. If you have a distribution of ACVs with very low leads, good example, you're starting your startup, it's been only a few months, and you're ready to do anything, you can try and charge more to find your price. That's often what happens. You don't have many leads, but the distribution of price is very high. You gotta open up, you gotta talk to everyone, right? And for more mature startups like us and most startups out there, you have this distribution, this banana shape, and you're going to want to do the strategy we did earlier, which is the dynamic chat, right? So you automatically are going to try and create the best experience based on their ACV, right? And if you're here, you're there. So if we go back to the principles, now that we know that, the point is to be able to predict the future, predict who the customer is, what they want, how much they're willing to pay. And if we look at those principles, the first one is the intent that I've used a lot. It's super important. You can think of it as a timing, which is people come to your website. Okay, we talked about that. They're expressing intent. There's a lot of others we can actually capture. There's they hire an exec, right? They install specific technology. They read about specific topics. They increase their ad spend. All of those are intent factors that should trigger you, should push you, your sales team, or your automation to say, this company is in the market right now for our solution. The second thing is the fit, right? So we talked about automatic fit discovery with Mercury. We talked about using that lead scoring technology. And the idea you can think of it is it's your target, right? It's your target market, but it's better than your usual rules at predicting who you're going to be able to sell to successfully. The third one is a channel, right? You want to use multiple channels. You want to apply the pressure on email, on the web, on chat, on ads. You want to be able to send gifts, right? So the fourth one is relevance, personalized messaging. That's very important. And it goes back to what I said on giving the best experience possible. If the message is super relevant, people are going to like it. People are not really going to care, especially in a few years, if the message is written automatically by a machine or by a human. What's really important is that is the content of this message valuable? Is it helpful to your prospective customers? If it is, then good, you're going to succeed. So that's the first part. Now let's go into the second part, which is, well, how do you predict the intent, which is the hardest part, right? So you're going to capture that data, and we'll see how we predict the intent. So my friend Darius Contractor at Dropbox has this framework, which is called the belief plus motivation framework, to hat tip to him. And the way to explain this framework is to say, well, people coming to your website, they have a base belief. For example, they believe that chat is good on the website. They believe that they should do A/B testing. They believe they should email their customers, right? And so they have that base belief. So here you're going to have time, you're going to have the intent to convert. When you're at 1, they convert, they pay, you're happy, they're happy, right? So the base belief is pretty stable, right? People, they're not going to change their expectations on email that fast, right? But at one point, right, they have the intent, their motivation increases enough that they land on your website, which is here, right? They experience your marketing. So if you want to search that on Wikipedia, it's what we call the hype cycle. And so they go up, they experience marketing, we hope your marketing is good, and their motivation is going to go up. This is just for one customer. Some people could go above and convert immediately, where it happens, and most people are just going to go down, right? That's why you have 5% conversion rates on your website. It's because the vast majority are not, if you combine both, are not going to reach enough belief plus motivation to convert immediately. So they expose your marketing, and so you're going to do win back, right? And we talked about win back strategies earlier. We talked about sending retargeting emails automatically. That's one way to do win back. You say, hey, come back. I see that you have intent. I see you have the motivation. I see you have the fit. Come back. The problem is that if it's not done automatically at scale, if you ask your sales rep to do it, it's too late because that curve goes down really fast. They're on your website now. If you wait 2 days to contact those companies to find the right person within the company, well, the desire is gone. Or maybe the desire is there and they've gone to a competitor who's done a better job, right? And so that is very interesting. So the question is it's about predicting that, and it's about pushing the right amount in the right direction. So why do I talk about pushing the right amount in the right direction? Well, if you remember when you were younger and you did some math about vectors, vectors is like it's sum of angle and momentum, right? And so if you think of customers as this start point, input conversion and time, well, belief plus motivation is going to bring them there, right, to a certain point. They got to convert up here. right? You got an issue, and so you push with marketing. And the reason why it does not convert is because usually, very often, you don't know what they're coming for. You don't know, what they wanted, right? And you're gonna push, in different directions. You're gonna create confusion. That's like so common. You think you don't do it? I'm sure most of you do. Example, you send an email which talks about another feature. They wanted self-service, and you push an enterprise package. All of those things, right? And the customer, the way they think about it is, I came for X, I came to start paying X, and you're answering, hey, have you seen feature Y and Z? Because you don't know that they came for paying X. You don't capture the data, right? How many of you are actually using the data from your advertising, right? From the page they see, from who they are, to actually change the welcome emails once they sign up, or to change the automated nurture emails, right? Almost no one does it. And so because we don't use the data that's available to us, we're creating that confusion, and we're giving a really awful experience. And the last thing that I wanted to do live is, if you look at this chart here, right? And think about what my role is as a growth, head of growth here at this company. My job is to create yield. My job is to create margin, all right? And I can push people to convert. Example, I say, sign up for Drift and you'll get a free Ferrari. This is not true, you won't get a Ferrari. Let's say I said it, right? Well, of course, I am pushing with such momentum, I don't care the angle, right? With such momentum that people are going to convert, right? They're gonna shoot up here, right? Problem is, I'm losing money, right? Because I just need to push that small amount for them to convert. Now I'm pushing up there, I'm losing money. And so you got to predict where they are on that mountain, on the upward or downward path, to push just the right amount to get them to convert, right? Just here, or just push them here. And if you do that, you're doing a good job, right? And so being able to predict how much they're gonna pay and how much you need to inject in terms of momentum enables you to create that yield. So based on what we saw earlier, based on the sales velocity, I know that, for example, one customer, I might be able to invest an automated gift, like a bottle of wine, for example. Whereas another customer, I might only be able to invest the time to do a chat or to send a handwritten letter, right? All that is automated. I'm just trying to nudge them over the waterfall to convert. Thank you.